1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Out on the highway we were lost at sea, running from the darkness within us, looking for moving pictures in the country as the road unfolded before us. We were young and unenrolled, pushing a pickup through the mountains, living tales to be told, so we could someday say where the days went. Those days were lived in. Out in the West we had the space to grow, moving from the children within us, letting go of what we used to know, as the muses sung their songs for us. We were in love with the world then, and art was pouring through our pores then. We were friends until the end, and the sunset stays where the days went. Those days were lived in. Those days were lived in. Oh. So that song is called Where the Days Went, and it's inspired by my friend David Fetzer, who is one of the most brilliant artists I've ever known, dearest friends I've ever had. And David passed away very suddenly on the day that the world was supposed to end. It was the end of the Mayan calendar.
Wow.
And it was, it really was, it was that for me and a lot of us that were close to David. But he was one of these guys that was just so creative. He wrote screenplays, made films, ran a theater company. He was a microbrewer. He was a songwriter. His band Mushman put out a couple of wonderful albums. But we spent some really precious time together in our late teens, early 20s, and took this amazing road trip in my pickup truck. The Crystal Jacket was the name of it. It was a Mazda B2200, 1988, and drove across from California to Salt Lake City to Colorado, and we lived together in a couple different artist collective type spaces. One was the House of Hope and Mercy in Ann Arbor. But song is inspired by him and the times we spent, and thinking of how full those days were and how, you know, they still exist in some way. And also sort of moving away from not only losing a friend, but moving away from those times in one's life, you know, where sort of like there's this endless expanse between you and the horizon, and the days could go on, and those are wonderful, freeing times, and really great to look back on too. But David's someone who you can get into his work still. You can find his films and his music, and then also there's a foundation called the Davey Foundation.org that supports emerging artists, gives especially young filmmakers and playwrights a chance to have their work be supported in his name, which is awesome.
Be loved, be loved. Your heart is full of love. Be loved, it's in your nature. Your heart is full of love. So many things to say, so many languages, what nature brings, what to do about these injustices. Be loved, be loved. Your heart is full of love. Be loved, it's in your nature. Your heart is full of love. Flowing freely out into the universe and in the space between, so it seems. You don't have to speak to be kind. Doesn't cost anything to be loved. Be loved. Be loved. Your heart is full of love. Be loved, it's in your nature. Your heart is full of love.
So one night after a gig, I was out on the road, and I had a hotel room at the time, and Stevie Wonder was on, one of my heroes. Saginaw's own Stevie Wonder. And he was wearing this beautiful velvet suit with a button over his heart with a letter B and a heart next to it. And they asked him about it, and he said, "This is what I try to remember every day. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news, if people are mistreating me, challenging me, if what I see is wrong and frustrating, I always try to remember to be love." Those were his words, and so I wrote that song, inspired by Stevie. And then there were actually two other songs that went with it. Be Humbled / Be Angry were the other two songs. Yeah. And Be Humble, Be Angry are on Eggtone's Blues, and Be Love is on this album, Reconciliation and the Mystical Beyond. But yeah, I find myself trying to remember that every day, to choose love over fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Open your eyes now, son. You're not the younger one you were before. You've been to the other shore. Your eyes are washed with tears. Your love is come and gone. You went and faced your fears. Still remains the song. Open your heart now, Father. Pour it into your daughter. Here before you went and opened the door and stepped right through the flames and ice into the true you, right where you belong, settling into song. Hey,
That one's called Open You. And personally, I'd been through some big changes, big transformations. And, kind of in a more universal way of looking at it, it's kind of about really trying to keep your heart open through things that are heartbreaking, things that are pulling on your heart and maybe causing you to want to close up as a reaction, to protect yourself. And it's also kind of about the sanctuary of music and of songs, and how music is this container that's big enough to comfort us through anything we have to go through in life, or as a people, as a community, as a society. So, going through like pretty significant uncoupling, and also like maintaining a certain amount of like, presence in fatherhood was a big part of that song. And then also like going through these wild times in our country, in America, where a lot of the problems that have been part of the basis of the society are really coming front and center for us to have to face, to like kind of cut through some of the static and the noise and just remember to be heart-centered no matter how hard it can be. It's kind of where that little song came from, and it was the opening track on a whole album that has a lot of those themes called Eggtone's Four Directions.